Things are a little bit of a disaster right now. I won't lie. Because I'm in my childhood bedroom for one, which just looks like shit. Like those fucking pictures on the wall. The fucking homecoming poster that's all crumpled and shit. The mismatching, bed stuff. And then you've got this giant black thing in the corner, which takes up a lot of room. That's actually my vocal booth. It's a moving blanket PVC pipe vocal booth. It's like $150 to build. Kind of expensive, but way less expensive than buying a shit ton of foam and like making a little actual space out of it. I don't have a closet or anything like that, so that's what I had to do to get some good high quality audio for you guys when I want to record videos. Except for right now, because I'm just at my computer. Don't worry about it. All right, let's start this fucking video. Let's talk about some stuff. I got a new job. That's why I'm a little sunburnt right now. Anyways. So yeah, I wanted to talk about some venturing into the sketchy parts of the web. I'm not going to say dark web because it's not the dark web. It's more just like the second or third page of Google web, you know what I'm saying? Shit gets crazy back there. You don't even want to. No, but honestly, I did want to talk about kind of my journey through downloading things illegally, sketchily, we will say. Not unethically. I don't do anything weird. But when it comes to like software and like music and like movies and stuff, I've always been doing things kind of not by paying for them. We'll say that. So I've been on YouTube for a very long time, right? Let's set the stage a little bit. In 2008, I created a YouTube channel, and the only thing I could do to edit my videos was the pre-installed Windows Movie Maker on Windows XP. Okay, eventually we got Windows Vista. But Windows Movie Maker on Vista wasn't that much better, and it's just a fundamentally limited program. So I really needed to get a hold of something else. I think it was like 2010 or 11 that I discovered Camtasia, which I believe you could get for free. Maybe not. Maybe I legally downloaded that one too. But Camtasia was really good because it could screen record at a really good quality. This was before, like NVIDIA Shadowplay and things like that, where you could just record the screen and everything works. It just didn't work like that back in the day. You either had unregistered HyperCam 2 or some other variation of a screen capturing device that wasn't free and would leave an ugly fucking watermark on your video, or Camtasia. And Camtasia, yes, okay, Camtasia was not free. I remember now. Camtasia, you did have to download illegally. You did have to do a crack. But those things have always actually been relatively, blessed the Virgin Mary, they've always been relatively really easy. So for those of you who have never dabbed in, ye old salty waters, software is fairly easy to crack nowadays, or at least not, the process of cracking is probably kind of complicated, but getting access to a crack and getting a full version of a software for free is fairly easy. Is it illegal? Yes. Are you going to get in trouble for it? Probably not, because the laws aren't super highly enforced. Regardless of what every, country tries to do, of what governments try and do, it's just fundamentally, it's just zeros and ones. So it's really hard to regulate and enforce these things. They have enforced certain things in the past to like set precedent. Well, I don't know why I have this in my hand. But that never really sticks. So you can get away with a lot of shit. Sometimes your internet provider will say something and your internet provider can actually drop you from your plan. I've actually had scares like that before where my internet provider would say, hey, we saw that you downloaded something illegally. And yeah, we're gonna put a warning on your account. And I had to call CenturyLink to get my account reenacted. AKA, my dad had to call CenturyLink to get it reenacted. He wasn't happy about that, but that's when I discovered VPNs, baby. Fuck you, CenturyLink. Anyways. So what was I talking about? So yeah, you gotta go to weird parts of the internet to get video editing software. A lot of torrent websites will do it. There's certain other websites that don't go through torrents, but they're usually foreign websites, which I'll get into. But yeah, you got to go to weird parts of the internet, things that have a lot of pop-ups, that have a lot of weird ads on the side, always asking for cookies. Make sure you don't give anybody your cookies like I do a lot. I found him. This is the guy. This is him, I think, who fucking hacked me. Look at him with the stupid fucking Andrew Tate fucking profile picture. Your mama. Yeah, don't give out cookies. if a cookie window shows up, either ignore it, or if you really want to use the website, just inspect element and delete the object. Like, just don't even fucking worry about it. But yeah, I was using Camtasia for a while. Then I eventually got Sony Vegas, and Sony Vegas was funny because I remember that was one of the first times I ever dealt with like a crack software, like one of those really like fucking homebrew crack softwares where it's just a .exe and it's just like a GUI, which is like load up these files here and it'll spit out a fucking a code that you can then put in as like an activation key or whatever. And these types of fucking crack softwares are usually like playing some fucking loud ass like video game music in the background that you can't turn off. So you gotta listen to this thing the whole fucking time. You're just like, okay, and eventually you get to use the software and it's like, okay, hopefully that didn't just inject 80 fucking COVID viruses into my fucking computer. I used Sony Vegas for a little bit. The first few videos on Cryptonic02 were actually made in Sony Vegas. The early like KH2FM videos I was just making for no reason were made with Sony Vegas. But with all this like downloading software and things like that, I'd never had a problem before. I've never been hacked in the way that I'd been hacked before or anything like that, which is funny because it's like, the internet is like more secure than it has ever been in the past few decades. Yet it happened to me now, which is just funny. I don't know. I just don't feel worried because it's almost like, it feels like just a statistical anomaly. Like it just kind of happened because it was bound to happen eventually, but it doesn't make it any more likely to happen going forward. You know what I mean? As long as I'm proactive, I use the knowledge I have now to just be a little bit smarter about what I'm doing. Understanding more about internet cookies and things like that, I can avoid that at least. But, you know, with how much I do on the internet in general, I'm a PC guy. I'm here all the time. I'm constantly going to websites looking for stuff. Like, you know, I go shopping on a lot of places online. Like, and you got to go to some weird places and some weird stuff happens. I don't know, you know? But anyways, yeah, so software is not the only thing I've like gone to weird lengths to get on the internet, right? I've been downloading music online forever, right? It started with MP3 downloading websites. The go-to one I used for the longest time was called downloads.nl. Sorry guys, it's like a little bit later in the night. I totally forgot to like tell some stories about like some of the MP3s that I looked for. So for this downloads.nl So for this downloads.nl website, right, I specifically remember the very first song that I ever found on this website, and that's when I knew that this site was some, you know, cash money, was the song No Smoke Without a Fire by Bad Company. This song played in a Ratchet and Clank 3 like glitch compilation way back in the day, like again, like 2008, 2009 or something like that. And I really liked the song No Smoke Without a Fire by Bad Company, one of my favorite, you know, classic rock songs of all time, classic-ish rock songs of all time. And I found that song on that website. It was like the only place I could find it. And this is obviously back in the day when you could easily find MP3 downloader websites on Google. And I was like, yeah, oh yeah. And then I was just able to find tons of other stuff. I was able to find certain video game songs and things like that. That was before I found some of like the more like easy to get like soundtrack downloading websites. But anyways, yeah. Bad Company, No Smoke Without a Fire, really good classic rock song. I recommend it. That's this first story that I'll tell, and I'm probably going to interject again. Don't worry about it. This website had like all the major songs, you know, anything that was in a popular genre you could find on this website. I was using it from like 2009 to 2020. So it was like I grew up with downloads.nl, and then it just got taken down. RIP. But after I started using MP3 download websites, I also eventually got a hold of LimeWire. I think LimeWire ceased its peer-to-peer downloads in like 2011, and then everybody stopped using it. You guys remember Mega Upload back in the day? They kind of turned into mega.nz, which is actually a really good service that I still use nowadays. Mega Upload was dope. People put all kinds of weird shit on there. Mediafire was great. Still around, actually. Mediafire somehow managed to get around all the shutdowns and shit. I've been downloading MP3s from a lot of different places. What y'all know about downloads.khinsider.com? Just saying. You didn't hear from me. So story injection number 2. This is a story of like the funniest MP3 file I've ever encountered. So as a little bit of context, if you download an MP3 file, and this was actually very popular in like the LimeWire days, a lot of the times, whatever service was providing you with the free MP3, they'd like to put their own metadata onto the MP3 file. So they'd like put like descriptions and comments, and they'd have like, you know, the author is just their website name and things like that in like the file description, I guess, which is metadata. But the funniest thing I encountered one time was like, I think it must have been like 2016, 2017. We Don't Talk Anymore by Charlie Puth, you know, just random pop song that was, I really liked at the time. And whoever got a hold of this MP3 and distributed it, and I got it on downloads.nl, they encoded an album cover onto this file, but the album cover was like a weird advertisement for something in another country. It's the picture itself is so fucking funny. It's like a photoshopped mess. I'll have to put it like right here or something. Just look at that thing, man. And like, it didn't change anything about the song. The song is still the same. It's still 320 kilobits per second and everything. But like, dude, what are you doing, bro? But for the longest time, you could always find MP3 websites on like the front page of Google. All you would have to do was type in, you know, name of song, download free MP3, and then you'd pretty much find it. But it feels like, especially like deep into DMCA these days, you don't really see that anymore. Google has better filters for that now. But other search engines exist, and we'll talk about that. So the thing about Google is it has like a content filtering thing where it doesn't just show you, when you search something in the search query, it doesn't just show you like the most relevant topic. It will actually filter the search results to show you what it wants to show you. Google is just a very curated thing where there's certain websites that it prioritizes, that type of thing. This is all done under the guise of security, but it's actually like a major component of like disinformation and like the monopolization of like the internet. What I do nowadays, I don't use Bing or any fucking DuckDuckGo. I don't really fuck with DuckDuckGo. It's kind of all the same to me. What I use nowadays is Yandex, which is the Russian search engine. Now, before y'all freak out when you hear the word Russia, you think you're gonna get hacked, you think Putin's gonna come to your fucking door and piss on your fucking toenails. I don't know. Just know that Yandex is actually something that's used by countries other than Russia, for one, and two, it's a very useful website. So Yandex, yes, it's a search engine. It also has a built-in reverse image search that's actually really, really good. Even for finding stuff that you'd normally just find on the American internet, I think it's better than Google Images. It came in handy when I first started making How to Fix Kingdom Hearts, and I wanted to find who actually originally created all of these artworks and things like that you just see people reposting on Google Images and DeviantArt and Pinterest constantly, but never give credit to the original artist. Yandex came in clutch with that shit. Yandex also has a really, really neat translation feature that'll do like auto translation of like images and text. It's bar none. But above all else, the Russian search engine is just not as curated as Google, so it'll show you the most relevant results. And when you're trying to find things like MP3s and movies and software and anime, that's actually really handy because Google's going to filter a lot of that stuff out because it deems that stuff illegal. So it comes in handy, and for MP3s especially, it comes in handy. Basically what happens is services like Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, Deezer, Amazon Music will have like data leaks where their repository of songs and MP3 files will get leaked, or sometimes they'll get like extracted by some means. Those will basically just get leaked into the black market, and a lot of these Russian websites will just put them up. So, I mean, the latest and greatest songs that like just came out will come out as 320 kilobits per second MP3s. And that's actually an important distinction, right? Because the number one way that people in like the West get a hold of MP3s nowadays is by like YouTube downloaders. But the problem with a YouTube downloader is that YouTube only hosts MP3 files at like 192 kilobits per second, or I think maybe also 160 kilobits per second. I think it might depend. That's not the highest quality an MP3 can be. And for someone like me, I'm kind of an audiophile. I have like a high quality headphone setup. Like I have the Sennheiser HD6XXs. These were $200. They're open backs. Really, really nice. They've been used in music production and audio listening for fucking decades. And I have that going into the Aune X7S headphone amplifier, and right underneath that, I've got a shit Modi 3 DAC. In total, it's a $500 headphone system, which, hurt to purchase at the time, but it is really, really good. And I can hear the difference between lower quality MP3 files and a 320 kilobits per second MP3 file. Now, I know that there's higher quality audio files that exist, like FLAC and WAV and ALAC. Anything that's just less lossy than an MP3 file, because there is some level of compression, but I've personally never been able to hear the difference between 320 kilobits per second and FLAC, but that's just my system. Some people can say that there's a clear difference. If you got like a $7,000 fucking system, I'm like, okay, you might be able to hear something, I don't know. You don't want to just use a YouTube downloader because you're not going to get the highest quality song. And also, a lot of the MP3 websites you find on Google nowadays are just YouTube rippers. So yes, you'll find the audio file, but they just ripped it off of YouTube anyways. The reason I look for MP3 files on the Russian internet and not FLACs or WAVs is just because they're easier to find and there's less storage, so I can like load them onto my phone a lot easier. Like this thing only has 128 gigs, right? So like I can't just load it up with a bunch of fucking FLACs and think I'm gonna get away with it. So this final story is kind of a two-parter, because there's two specific songs I remember that were like the most difficult to track down in high quality. And it's actually, it's always the stupidest fucking songs. It's never like, your favorite song that you heard on the radio that year or anything like that. It's always like a really dumb song that you like, but like, somehow I found it worth it to go to fucking extraordinary lengths to try and find just these songs. The first one I want to talk about isn't necessarily tied to the quality, but it's just tied to finding it in general, was a stock music song that I heard in an old YouTube video. And I was like, damn, that song kind of slapped. So the song is officially called Kickin' Back, and it was created by a guy named Luis Torres, but it was licensed stock music for an old video editing software called ULead, and I heard it in a Niga Higa video like way back in the day.
And now, the iPod Human! The iPod Human comes in multiple colors!
I could never track down this song. I would ask in comment sections. I would search through that Niga Higa video comment section to see if anybody knew the name, anybody found it, whatever. But there was just one time where I finally sat down and was like, I'm gonna exhaust every avenue I possibly fucking can to try and find this thing. So I knew it came with the program ULead, so I had to do some fucking detection work from there. I was like, okay, who licensed out the stock music for ULead? And I found out eventually that the license for that music like passed hands a couple times, or maybe the company changed name a couple times, but it was called Smart Sound. And I was like, that's a good thing. So I went to Smart Sound. I started looking through all their genres because they have tons and tons of stock music. I was looking through every fucking genre on that website. I eventually found it, but it had one of those audio watermarks on it, like Smart Sound. You know what I mean? And I was like, I'm not doing that, man. I'm not just gonna like record this audio and just be done with it, because it's stock music, but it's not royalty free, so you have to license it, you have to buy it. I was like, I'm gonna buy this song. And when you buy stock music off of Smart Sound, you have to buy the license to use it in the video with it. You can't just buy the MP3 like it's Amazon Music. It's basically a whole like semi-ownership package at that point. So I spent $25 buying this stupid fucking song, Kickin' Back, and it's a good jazz song. But, it's just about the principle, because I heard that song so long ago and I finally found it, like 2021, I finally found that shit. And I was like, got that shit on lock, baby. I got it. I finally got it. And it's a good ass song. I got to hear like the second part of it that you never get to hear. I was like, yeah, kicking back, baby. Okay. And the second song, another stupid fucking song. Okay, so the song Butterfly by Smile DK. All right, it was kind of popular back in the Dance Dance Revolution days. It was on that game, and you know, it's not the best song, but it's kind of nostalgic for me because I heard it way back in the day. There was a version of that song, and we're not just talking the original version of Butterfly. There was a different version of that song called the extended version, which was released on like the very first single of Butterfly. It got released like multiple times. The very first one had an extended version, and that extended version was used for the Pikachu song. If any of y'all OGs remember the Pikachu song on YouTube, that's a remix of Butterfly extended version with just Pikachu sound effects put over it. I wanted that version of Butterfly. Fuck the Pikachu version, even though Pikachu version is nostalgic. I wanted just that version of Butterfly, the extended version. Nowhere on the internet. Didn't exist as far as I could find. I was searching everywhere. Russian internet, Google, all the websites that I usually go to try and find this friggin' extended version of goddamn song. It's so stupid. It was like, why am I swear to God, it was like a weekend. No, it wasn't a weekend. It was like a month ago when I was unemployed. I was fucking spending 8 hours that day trying to find it, barking up various trees. I extended beyond Yandex and I was looking on like Baidu, the fucking Chinese internet, dude. I was trying to find that song, man. And I was in focus mode that whole day, dude. I'm like, this is going to be mine. So a thing that you can do to narrow down your search and find the official like MP3, you know, one that hasn't been tampered with or bass boosted or anything like that, is when you put it in the search query, you put the official duration of the song. You just put, if the song is 4 minutes and 20 seconds, you would put 4:20 in the search query, and that'll actually help narrow down your options. Well, the problem was there was no version of that existed at the official duration that was listed on like Discogs. So that search query really bit me in the ass, and I didn't realize that was kind of what was limiting me until I figured that out. That maybe the Discogs was wrong, or, you know, whoever just re-uploaded it, extended it a little bit, and it was a couple more seconds than that, basically. It was 4 minutes and 22 seconds. So once I got beyond looking at songs that are 4 minutes, 20 seconds, I just looked at everything else, and I was like, I almost immediately found it on like one of the very first websites I was looking at. I felt so stupid, but I finally found it. It had to be a stupid fucking song that like, I was just like, I'm gonna find this fucking song. I really just like having ownership over digital media. And to be clear, I do also buy a lot of MP3 files as well, because Amazon Music will let you buy MP3s. Bandcamp lets you buy MP3s. There's plenty of Japanese websites when you're like me and you're a fucking weeb and you listen to a lot of Japanese music. They let you buy like FLACs and shit, and I'll usually buy the FLAC, and maybe if I want to store it on my phone, I'll just be like, okay, I'll let this slide. I'll put a FLAC on there. It's 1 or 2 FLACs isn't going to kill my fucking little storage drive on there. But yeah, man, that's what gets me going to these Russian websites all the time. I'm going on there and I'm just like, give me an MP3 file. And it's like, it's not that sketchy, because if you block the cookies and you know that you're downloading an MP3 file, because it'll give you a prompt to save it in the directory before you actually download it, so you can click cancel if it doesn't say .mp3 on it. Like, having an up-to-date antivirus will stop a website from, reaching into your computer. It's fine, guys. It's fine. Just don't accept cookies. And don't save your passwords on any of these websites either. And the downloading software thing that I was talking about, it's always sketchy, man. But like, things could have been a lot worse, that's for sure. Thinking about like me getting hacked, and like if it would, be worth my while to take security 10 times more seriously. Like, me getting hacked is like a statistical anomaly. I was fine for, more than a decade. And maybe that was the statistical anomaly, if we're going to be honest with ourselves. But I generally know what to look for when getting hacked and the routes that you get hacked from. And 99% of the time you can avert the crisis by just being a little smarter. And I've learned a lesson about cookies and about saving passwords on Google Chrome, and how Google Chrome does not take security seriously, and you don't really think to take it seriously yourself, because it's just one of those things, man. Do you sacrifice convenience for security? I don't know. Oh yeah, I also download movies sometimes. Like all the Marvel movies I've basically downloaded and watched. I don't know. Was that all I wanted to talk about? This video is fucking boring. Oh well. I think the next video I'll talk about YouTube. I'll talk about how I started in YouTube. I'll go through my cringe-filled journey of getting to where I am now with content creation. That's a topic I definitely want to cover. That might even be a topic for Kryptonic 02. I could make a whole video essay about that, just, you know, for funsies. But I got a lot of other things on my plate. I gotta write the rest of the Kingdom Hearts rewrite. And then I also have, like, the 358 Days Over 2 cutscene animatic thing that I'm doing that I gotta do. And I got, like, voice actors waiting to, like, voice act in it. Shit. That was basically all I wanted to talk about. I guess if you learned anything, or you can relate, or you know, you have your own ways of getting a hold of things, or, you know, maybe we can have a discussion about that. But this is just stuff going on that I like to do in my spare fucking time. I like to just download MP3s. God, I'm so fucking boring. Okay, goodbye. Have a good. All right.